Emily Harper had come to Laramie because the mountains looked like freedom on a postcard. She was 21, a junior at the University of Wyoming, majoring in wildlife biology because she wanted to spend her life outside instead of fluorescent lit inside. Back in the Chicago suburbs, where she grew up, the only wild things were raccoons in the trash and the occasional coyote trotting down the trawlway median. Wyoming was different. Here, the air tasted metallic with snow, even in August, and the Wind River Range rose like a broken jaw against the sky. Emily hiked every weekend she could steal, sometimes alone, sometimes with classmates who bailed when the weather turned. She preferred alone. The silence felt honest. She knew the rules. She'd taken the required bear safety course freshman year, aced the quiz, could recite the statistics by heart. Wyoming is home of roughly 700 to 800 grizzly bears, almost all of them in the greater Wyoming Yellowstone ecosystem. But a handful of adventurous males have wandered east into the Medicine Bow and the Snowy Range. Attacks are rare, fewer than one fatal incident per year statewide. But when they happen fast. Grizzlies can weigh 600 pounds, run 35 miles an hour, and bite with a 1200 psi of pressure. More importantly, they do not see humans as prey the way black bears sometimes do. Most charges are defensive. A surprised sow with cubs, a boar guarding a carcass, a bear startled at close range. The key is distance. Give them space and they almost always leave. Emily carried bear spray on her hip, like other girls carried pepper spray in the city. She'd practiced drawing until the motion was muscle memory. She hiked noisy on shared trails, silent on game trails. She never wore earbuds. She knew the signs: fresh scat full of berry seeds, clawed up logs, the heavy musk that lingers after a bear has passed through. She respected them the way sailors respect the sea, aware that respect does not guarantee mercy. October slid in cold that year. First snow dusted the peaks, while the valleys still burned with aspen gold. Emily had a practical lab Monday morning, but Sunday was wide open and the forecast perfect. High of 45, wind out of the northwest, no chance of precipitation. She chose the Libby Creek Trail system west of Sentinel, a 10-mile out and back. She'd done twice before. The aspens were at peak color. The creek's low enough to cross without getting boots wet. She left her apartment at 6 a.m., stopped at the Coal Creek Coffee Drive for a 20-ounce Americano, and was on the trail by 7:30. The first 3 miles climbed steadily through lodgepole pine. Sunlight slanted through the trunks and pale gold bars. She passed a pair of older women with trekking poles, exchanged hellos, kept moving. After that, she saw no one. The trail narrowed, switchbacked up a ridge, then dropped into a long meadow where the creek braided silver through willows. The silence was so complete she could hear her pulse in her ears. She stopped at mile 5, just past noon, at a spot she remembered, a wide bend in the creek with a gravel bar and a fallen log perfect for sitting. She ate half a peanut butter tortilla, drank from her filter, checked her map even though she knew the way. The return trip would be mostly downhill. Easy. She felt good. Lungs open, legs strong, the pleasant ache of honest work. Then nature called. The willows were thick along the creek, no real privacy on the trail side. Emily glanced around. No boot prints but hers in the mud, no voices drifting in the wind. She stepped off the trail 20 yards downstream, picked a spot where the creek widened into a shallow pool no deeper than her shins. The water was glacier cold but clear, reflecting the impossible blue of the sky. She unbuckled her pack, set it on a rock, kept the bear spray clipped to her belt out of habit, pants down, boots still on because the gravel was sharp. She squatted on the edge of the creek, one hand braced on a boulder for balance. That was when she heard it, a single, heavy huff. almost conversational, 20 feet behind her. Emily froze. The sound a bear makes when it's surprised is not a roar. It's a low, explosive woof, like a mastiff with asthma. She knew the sound from every safety video she'd ever watched. Slowly, agonizingly slowly, she turned her head. He stood at the edge of the willows, half hidden by shadows. A big male grizzly, silver-tipped guard hairs catching the sun like frost. 600 pounds if he was an ounce. His head was lowered, ears pinned back, lips wrinkled in a silent snarl that showed 4 inches of yellow canine. He stared at her the way a house cat stares at a bird that has forgotten how to fly. Emily's brain fired every protocol at once. Do not run. Make yourself big. Speak firmly. Back away slowly. But she was squatting, pants around her ankles, one hand on a rock, the other clutching her underwear aside so she wouldn't pee on her own clothes. There was no make yourself big. There was no backing away. The bear had materialized downward. She had never smelled him, never heard him, and now the distance was closing with terrible deliberateness. The bear took one step, then another. His claws clicked on stone. Emily yanked up her pants with her free hand, stumbled backward, boots slipping on slick gravel. The bear spray was there on her belt, safety clip still engaged. Her fingers found the canister, thumb fumbling for the tab. The grizzly woofed again, louder, and charged. 18 feet in the first bound, 35 miles an hour from a standing start. Emily got the safety off and squeezed. The orange cloud shot out in a weak arc. Wind caught it, blew it sideways. Only a trace hit the bear's face. He shook his head like a wet dog and kept coming. The impact lifted her off her boots, left the ground, and she flew backward into the creek. The water was so cold it felt like being punched by ice. 800 pounds of muscle and fury landed on top of her. She heard her own scream turn into a wet gurgle as the wind was driven from her lungs, and she began to drown in the calf-deep water. The first bite took her left shoulder. Teeth punched through Gore-Tex and flesh like it was tissue paper. She felt the collarbone pop, the wet grind of joint separating. The bear shook her the way a terrier shakes a rat. Her head snapped back and forth, vision strobed white. She still had the bear spray in her right hand. She jammed the nozzle against the side of his face and emptied the can. The hiss was deafening. The bear roared. Actually roared this time. A sound that rattled her teeth and released her shoulder to bite the canister itself. Metal crumpled. The nozzle tore off, and a jet of leftover capsaicin shot into his mouth. He reared back, pawing at his face. Emily rolled, tried to crawl, but her left arm was useless, flopping like a broken wing. Blood poured hot down her side, instantly chilled by creek water. She got her knees under her, lurched toward the far bank. The bear hit her again from behind. Claws raked down her back, parting jacket and skin in 4 parallel lines that felt like molten wire. She went face down in the creek, mouth filling with water and grit. The grizzly bit the back of her thigh, teeth meeting around the femur. She felt the bone creak of bone, the sudden give as the femur snapped like greenwood. Somehow she rolled onto her back. The bear loomed over her, drooling capsaicin and blood, eyes red-dimmed and furious. Emily swung her good arm, fist closed around a fist-sized rock she'd grabbed instinctively. The blow glanced off the bear's muzzle. He didn't even flinch. He bit her stomach. Teeth punched through abdominal muscle, scraped across intestine. Hot wetness flooded her belly as organs tore. Emily screamed until her throat bled. She kicked with her good leg, heel catching the bear under the jaw. His head snapped back an inch. She clawed at his face, nails raking across one eye. The bear bellowed and bit her forearm, crunching radius and ulna like dry twigs. The arm went numb. Time fractured along with Emily's body. It was only pain and the wet sound of eating. The grizzly dragged her out of the creek by her own broken leg. leg. Gravel scraped skin from her back. He dropped her on the bank, stood over her, panting. Blood dripped from his muzzle onto her face. Emily tried to speak. "Please, stop. I'm sorry." But only bubbles came. The bear lowered his head and took her throat in his jaws wide enough to span her shoulders. He bit down on the base of her neck, teeth sinking into trapezius and spine. Emily felt the vertebrae creak, separate. She thrashed, legs drumming the dirt, broken arm flopping. The bear adjusted his grip, jaws sliding higher until they closed around the back of her skull. Pressure, terrible pressure. Her vision tunneled. He shook. The first shake cracked cervical vertebrae like knuckles. The second tore ligaments, cartilage, everything that held a head to a body. Emily felt her neck stretch impossibly. Skin and muscles stretching like taffy. There was a wet pop, spinal cord severing, and sudden silence inside her skull. The third shake did it. Her head came off, with a sound like ripping canvas. Arteries sprayed in rhythmic pulse that weakened with each heartbeat until they stopped. The bear stood there a moment, Emily's head dangling from his jaws by scalp torn half away, one eye still open and staring. He dropped the head, nosed it curiously, then bit down again and crushed the skull with a noise like eggshells under boot. Gray matter oozed between yellow teeth. The rest of the afternoon belonged to him. He dragged what was left of the body, now just a torso, with one arm and half leg, into the dense willows 50 yards upstream. There he ate. He started with the remaining thigh, stripping muscle in long red ribbons, cracking the other femur for marrow. He tore open the abdomen and fed on liver, kidneys, the rich coils of intestine. Blood soaked the ground until the soil was black. When the edge was off his hunger, he urinated, a long, steaming stream, over the gut pile and the scattered limbs. The sharp ammonia smell would warn other bears away. Then he dug, using claws the length of bowie knives, scooping out a shallow depression beneath a downed spruce. He rolled the torso in, covered it with needles and dirt, scraped more duff on top, until only a darker patch of forest floor remained. The head he carried farther, almost gently, and buried separately beneath a cairn of rocks at the base of a cliff. Crows would find it eventually, or coyotes, but not soon. By dusk, the creek ran clear again. A light snow began to fall, soft and silent, erasing boot prints, blood, the last warmth of a girl who had loved the mountains too much to fear them properly. No one heard her scream. No one found the pack until spring, half buried under avalanche lilies. Bear spray canister chewed in half. In the greater Yellowstone ecosystem, the grizzly population grows by roughly 4% per year. Biologists call it a conservation success. The bears themselves call it dinner.